Ahead on Q2, party divides out in the open.
I don't know how it's not conservative to fix stuff before you fail.
What recent leaked documents have shown the public about the gap between our state's Republicans and Democrats, and future rate hikes.
If they are going to go into effect, then I'll have to raise my prices within the next 90 days.
President Trump announces the newest tariff rates, but how will they affect businesses and customers here? And the 100 deadliest days.
Some people just say that they've heard that somebody that was in a crash died because they were wearing their seatbelt.
We'll check in on this year's fatalities on the roadways since Memorial Day, with more warm weather and travel ahead. The MTN 430 News on Q2 starts right now. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on this Friday, August 1st. I'm Charlie Klepps. We'll start tonight with some court news out of Wyoming, where a grand jury is being convened to decide whether or not a man should face felony animal cruelty charges. That man is Cody Roberts, a Daniel, Wyoming resident who posted these videos in February of 2024 after capturing a wolf and bringing it into a town bar. It was later learned that Roberts had struck the animal with a snowmobile, then taped the injured animal's mouth shut before bringing it in public. Roberts was then cited and fined by state wildlife officials for illegal possession of wildlife, which is a misdemeanor. However, critics felt those charges should have been more severe, following a global outrage and even a tourism boycott of Wyoming. Now, with the grand jury convening, Roberts could face larger charges, and that decision about whether or not he'll be indicted is expected sometime in August. We'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more. Meanwhile, back here in Montana, tensions rising at the state's capital. After what has been a tumultuous legislative session, party divisions are still on display, even though legislators haven't been together for almost 3 months. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian has more on how leaked documents have made these disagreements even more public.
This week, MTN journalists received copies of a document in the mail that shows some of the disagreements within the state legislature's Democratic caucuses. The 22-page document, titled Tangible Damages, lays out arguments that the working majority of Democrats and some Republicans had, quote, repeatedly worked against Democratic values, particularly violating Democratic priorities on tax policy and failing to stop, quote, far-right policies attacking trans people. The report was sent anonymously with a false return address and a Billings postmark. It was received by multiple journalists as well as a number of lawmakers. House Minority Leader Katie Sullivan confirmed the document came out of a request she made to House Democratic staff. In a statement to MTN, she said, quote, this document is just one result and one person's perspective. Some I agree with, some I disagree with, and some I would have phrased it differently. Sullivan said disagreements happen, but Democrats would overcome this. Senate Minority Leader Pat Flowers, who frequently pointed to the working majority as a success during the session, echoed that in a statement, saying, quote, differences of opinion within a political party aren't just inevitable, they're healthy. I'm proud of the work every one of our Democratic legislators did this session, and I know that we'll continue to work together on the hard problems facing people across Montana. Leaked documents aren't the only sign of party disagreements spilling out into the public. In some Montana communities, residents are hearing it right on their phone.
Lou Jones is at it again. He's gobbling up our tax dollars to pay for more pork barrel spending.
That's a clip of one of a series of robocalls that have gone out in the last 2 months, attacking Republican lawmakers like Representative Lou Jones of Conrad. The recordings don't include any attribution. The staunchly conservative Montana Freedom Caucus has reposted them on social media. Caucus Chair Representative Jerry Schillinger of Circle denied knowing who's behind the calls, but said he agreed with their message.
They disrespected what their voters thought they were getting in the conservative majority in the Senate to carry out a conservative agenda.
Jones said people in his district felt harassed by the robocalls, and that he'll stand by his votes for investments he said his constituents need.
I try to vote with this district 100% of the time, and I would argue it's conservative. I don't know how it's not conservative to fix stuff before you fail.
In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
We're well into the 100 deadliest days of the year. It's the time between Memorial Day and Labor Day when law enforcement sees an increase in fatal crashes. According to Montana Highway Patrol, there have been 36 fatal crashes and 37 fatalities on Montana roadways during that infamous stretch this year. 9 of those fatalities involved alcohol and 9 are attributed to other impaired driving, which includes drug use. MHP says when comparing 2024 to 2025, there have been 5% fewer fatal crashes this year, but 5% more fatalities. 3 of the major factors that contribute to fatal crashes in Montana include speeding, impaired driving, and not wearing a seatbelt.
I had one person tell me that it would mess up their clothes, which is an awful reason not to wear a seatbelt. Some people just say that they've heard that somebody that was in a crash died because they were wearing their seatbelt, which is extremely rare.
MHP says you are 45% more likely to not be killed in a crash if you're wearing a seatbelt and 50% more likely to avoid serious injury if you're wearing one as well. With another solid weekend of weather expected, it's a good reminder to stay safe on the roadways. Now, the first look at that forecast, here's meteorologist Jason Stiff.
Well, after a quiet beginning to the month of August, the showers and storms are already getting going over the mountains and pushing out over the lower elevations. We've had thunderstorms over Worland as well as Graybull and some showers around Cody as well as Sheridan, but more chances are going forward. We've also had some more thunderstorms moving just south of the Billings area. Some thunderstorms around Pryor as well as pushing closer to Laurel. Also some more smoke is wafting over the Billings area right now from the south from a fire there, and more active weather to our northwest. You can see over Wheatland County, parts of Golden Valley County. We have thunderstorms approaching Harlingen right now and just on the cusp of getting near Greater Rygate right there too. So some active weather right now. We have more in the forecast. Your 7-day forecast coming up.
In Washington, a stock trading bill passed through a key Senate committee yesterday, appearing to make it so that members of Congress could no longer own or trade individual stocks. That would have included senators, the president, and vice president as well. The bill appeared to have life. However, hours later, President Donald Trump went to social media blasting the bill and GOP senators that supported it. Now the bill appears to be dead, though there are still some efforts being made to ban members of Congress while still allowing the president and vice president to trade stocks. Meanwhile, President Trump also announced new tariff rates on dozens of countries, which are set to go into effect next week. Mara Barrett reports from the Chicago Bureau on what the new rates are and what it'll mean for both businesses and consumers.
Consumers and businesses bracing for the impact of President Trump's newly revealed tariffs, set to hit dozens of countries. The White House announcing tariff rates on trading partners ranging from 10 to 41%, set to take effect August 7th. A panel of small business owners telling us these new tariffs will mean higher prices for their customers.
If they are going to go into effect, then I'll have to raise my prices within the next 90 days because that will affect my next order.
My guess is within the next 30 to 60 days, people would start seeing price increases based on depending on what the tariff is and where it's impacted and what we're buying from those countries.
67%. Previous tariffs are already impacting consumers, according to new federal data out this week. One inflation gauge showing prices up 2.6% in June compared to a year ago. Procter & Gamble, the maker of products like Old Spice deodorant, Crest toothpaste, and Tide detergent, announcing this week it will raise prices on about a fourth of U.S. products. Some companies, like General Motors, say they've taken a hit from tariffs, but insist they won't raise prices for customers. That strategy can only last so long, says Sina Galera, a professor of supply chain management.
Now, they can eat the prices to some extent just to do good with their market, but your financial resources and cushion and inventory cushion, they all run out over time, and you'd have to think about passing that on.
And consumers appear to be readying for that. In June, consumers spent $500 million less on big-ticket items, prioritizing essentials instead. Maura Barrett, Scripps News Group, Chicago.